what I wanna, innovate what I'm gonna. You can hate all you wanna, but you're still in your pajama. Now I ain't a prima donna, but I built what I wanna. You can say my vision's wrong, the tune of my song. Broke my thumb, bang into my own drum. Broke my thumb, bang into my own drum. Broke my thumb, bang into my own drum. Who in a clapping, boots I am a strapping, a click click clacking. Hurrah! Bootstrapping in America. Yeah, bootstrapping in America.
Thomas and back, my friend. Bootstrapping. Bootstrapping in America.
Bootstrapping in America. Caremerge. Asif Khan, how are you?
Great. How are you guys?
We are good.
Welcome back.
Well, nice to be here. Thank you.
Welcome to the new Tasty Trade Studios.
I love it. I love it.
You were in the old studios.
Yeah, I know. You guys have kind of grown like 10 times.
It's
wow.
Like a weed.
Yeah.
It's
like
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I love the building. It's so nice.
Yeah.
It's like so roomy and
it was my idea.
Beautiful. Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good
we
idea.
got lucky.
Thanks.
We came, we were looking around, and we walked in one day, and there was a bunch of traders in here trading energy futures, and we kind of knew them from somewhere else, and we both had our real estate agents, and we told the real estate agents, hey, go grab a cup of coffee and we'll talk. 10 minutes later, we had a deal done.
Wow.
So
that's nice.
Yep.
At the right, being at the right time at the right place, there's something to be said about that.
Traders like to deal with other traders because you get everything done really quick. You don't have to deal with no middlemen.
Right.
So, Asif, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Last time you were on the show, Caremerge was a very small little company.
Right.
If we remember correctly, you had it was like you and
co-founder
and a co-founder.
Right.
And you guys were like in a closet somewhere, and you
1871. We were at 1871.
Oh, you were 1871.
And
right.
1871 was just starting. We had wires hanging from the wall. They were still putting furniture in. We were one of the first few tenants.
You were making coffee. Right. Beautiful. Well, you're a University of Chicago graduate, aren't you?
Correct, that's right.
Booth School, the whole
yes,
thing.
Absolutely.
And were you part of that incubator or competition or?
Yeah, we did. We were at a New Venture Challenge.
You were, okay.
But we didn't really got anywhere. We never won it or did anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they just said, oh, you guys are not gonna.
You're not gonna become anything, and then you had to decide. You had to prove them wrong.
Absolutely, always right.
It's a motivator, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you went to 1871. You floundered around. You struggled. You did whatever you had to do.
Right.
You came on Tasty Trade. We'd like to say that we're partially responsible for your success.
Sure, absolutely.
Partially, like 98%.
Most of the companies we have on here said. And now you have. Last week, I saw you up on stage with your entire team. You won the Chicago Innovation. You were Chicago Innovation Award winner.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Unbelievable. I mean, there, like I said at the stage. I mean, there are so many great companies. In Midwest, especially in Chicago.
Yeah.
It was really an honor, and it was a very humbling experience that the judges chose us as compared to all the other smart and brilliant companies. So it's really an honor.
It's the American dream.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hot dogs, apple pie, and you work hard, and if you work really hard for something, and you really want it, you can get it.
Absolutely. There's no limits to it. I mean,
No.
I still say that. People, say a lot of things about, oh, we got this messed up in this country and this and that. Well, look, this is the best place in the world. I've been to different parts of the world. This is still the best place in the world. So thank
Sure. We like to say thanks God.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, there's lots of countries. I mean, China is exploding, or has had an explosion. India is still exploding. I mean, there are places around the world where there's, entrepreneur, and then there's a lot of emerging growth companies, and they're talking also now about Africa and other places where there's this huge kind of, pent up demand and for entrepreneurship and ideas, and when you think about it, there's when you just look at places like Africa, look at places like India, things like that. There hasn't been the opportunity and the capital to explode, ever. And now there's so much capital chasing such small returns that the reality of it is that this whole thing is becoming global, as long as it doesn't cannibalize itself, which I don't think it will, there really are opportunities. Here we're just a much more mature marketplace. That's
right.
the difference.
I think here the opportunities are more based on your skill and based on your tenacity and based on who you are and how hard you want to work.
I agree.
Whereas in other places, it's not that easy.
No, I totally
they're
agree.
growing, but there's lots of government involvement. You have to get certain things approved. There are like groups that control a lot of the politics,
Agreed.
and
Totally agree.
it's not that easy to do it. So you really have to know quite a few people before you get anywhere.
Also,
Whereas
it's
in
hard to
US
raise capital.
Yeah, it's hard to raise capital. I think that's why in the U.S. what we're seeing is people are, if you see a lot of firms, I mean, they have special groups now that are focused in just investing in China or investing in India, and they're picking up some really nice, because they're multi-billion people access to, and they're finally getting mobile technology that's like cheaper than here. I mean, it's amazing.
One of the great things we've done here, you brought up a great point. One of the great things we've done in the U.S. is we don't torture you until you get to a certain size. we don't subject you to the overload of Sarbanes-Oxley and everything else. We kind of let you.
We sprinkle the miracle grow on you while you're young.
Exactly.
You get mature.
The 25-person companies, the 70-person companies, whatever it is, they let you slip through the cracks. Okay, and all you have to make sure is that you got fire extinguishers in the right places, and you meet the fire code or whatever else it is. You're okay for a while. It's when you don't slip under the radar anymore that then all of a sudden, whoosh.
Everything. I mean, from media to everybody, you make one little mistake and it gets blown out of proportion, and there are all kinds of stuff.
So before we get into Caremerge and more about specifically, because I just to give everybody a little tiny background, Caremerge is a healthcare communication. You're a healthcare software platform, right?
Correct, exactly.
Right. But more important than that, like what I think is really interesting is how do you, backs against the wall, you and a co-founder sitting in 1871, a co-working facility, and how do you turn the corner? How do you make it? How do you get out of there?
Yeah,
how do you differentiate yourself?
Right. I think one of the things that good or bad being part of in Midwest is everybody's focused on true value creation, right? Which means getting to revenue and getting clients. Nobody in the Midwest gives you money if you don't have people or paying or using your solution. Whereas in the West Coast or other parts of the country, you can have a concept with few traction, or you're trying a few things, and it's a big vision. People still put money in it because they see the future and whatnot. But here, it kind of the community, it seems like it forces you to focus on revenue, focus on value creation.
It's middle America, man. Yeah, that's where we are. We're in the middle of America. Okay, we don't have the luxury.
Right.
You have to deliver here.
Correct. Yeah. So I mean, that's the whole point. Is like I think that the corner. I mean. I shared my story before. I mean, it's like all of us. Aging is a global challenge. People are growing older in masses, and you heard of boomers and all those types of things. And what we saw is there's a big need in that specific market where there are lots of. I mean, people who are over 65 cost the most to healthcare because they're living longer with the most chronic illnesses and have the most number of providers involved in their care. Right, it's a very exponential problem.
Sure.
So, but if you can build a platform where everybody can see what each other is doing in context of this patient, boy, it's fantastic because people making better decisions, faster decisions. People get notified what they need to, and they take immediate right decisions. So that's the part of the value creation that we talked about that we see as a big gap in the industry. And we fill that gap, and I think it's taken off. I mean, people realize it that it's a very powerful and much needed technology.
It is a great story, and you are not alone in the sense that some of the most successful companies and we talk about a lot how many people come through bootstrapping here in Chicago through this segment. It's been an incredible boost to Chicago's entrepreneurial world in the sense that they get to tell their story and people get to learn about you, all that kind of stuff. But the one thing that's cool as hell to us is that there's a lot of disruptors and a lot of people like you that have really jumped into healthcare because there's such a giant opportunity in there, and and the ones with the best technology, the greatest vision, and which is hard for us to differentiate because we don't know that space that well. But it's they've been really successful because that was an area that just needed to be burnt down and start over again.
Right. I mean, absolutely. And I think that's why when you look at the healthcare reform, it is really taken 180 degrees, right? Because in the past, the providers like hospitals or these, what incentive they have in making you healthy? Really nothing. The more you're sick, the better it is.
Sure.
Right? Because the more MRIs or CTs I'll do, the more money I make. That's not incentive.
Do you worry about a change in the political climate? Do you worry that if we have the potential to go backwards if we if there's a new administration, if there's
change in policy?
Yeah, change in policy. Right. Does that concern you, or is this something that can't be stopped at this point?
I don't think it's going to be stopped. I mean, people are already seeing benefits. So many people, there's so many stories where people, they never had, insurance before. Now they can. Mm-hmm. There were so many people with little kids with certain diseases that insurance companies were capping it. Now there is not. There are companies like us that are creating solutions because of the value-based care, right? Value-based care means how do you keep people in the first place from getting sick? Right? That's exactly what we do. So to think about, you go ahead and, I'm not a political person and I don't choose sides or anything, but I just think the incentives are aligned now, right? Providers have an incentive. They get penalized if you go back to the hospital within 30 days of discharge. That makes sense to me.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
We are all smart business people. Just incentives should be aligned. Yeah. So how do you, the other part is now they're going to be responsible for patients once the patient is discharged for 90 days, right? Patient is not in my building. Patient is out. Mm-hmm. How do I keep track of that patient and make sure that patient stays healthy 90 days, up to 90 days, right? That's the way it should be in the first place.
Sure.
So, I think
most
people realize.
Feel better you're done, and, they either don't go along with what they're supposed to do, ixnay, on not taking their medicines and stuff like that, This way you'll have some sort of accountability.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm all for it. Nobody's heading that direction faster than I am. Okay, so it's beautiful. So, this is a great discussion, and it seems like, again, I saw you guys the other night. I saw you on stage. I listened to the little speech, and obviously you're doing something that's, really special. I'm also encouraged because the story is so cool. We've had so many people come through here that started with 2 or 3 people that in
an incubator. I mean,
that are no longer in business.
Right.
And so when we get a story which is really special, where I'm not saying you've turned the corner or anything like that, but you're clearly on your way to something that
built a business,
realizing your vision, which is exciting.
Right. No, absolutely.
So Asif, thank you so much. Asif Khan is the CEO of Caremerge, and it's caremerge.com. And thank you so much for coming to Taste Trade today. And hopefully in another 2 years, we're having this conversation again, and it's boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and you probably moved to a much bigger place after that.
No, we're done.
We want to live here.
Yeah, we're here. Okay. We're not moving.
Okay. We're going to come back in about 3 minutes. We got good trade, bad trade next. Let's Taste Trade Live.